Hey, welcome back, everybody. Dakota Grappler Live coming to you on a Wednesday night. I tell you what, we're going to talk a lot of wrestling. My name is John Gums. I'm owner and editor of Dakota Grappler. Just love being out in the winter talking wrestling to a bunch of guys that love the sport. Tonight's guests, we have Todd Wells, Coach Wells from Sioux Falls, Jefferson, and we have Bill, of course, and then we got Travis Lemar. He is the coach in Central Cass in Castleton. We're going to talk a lot of wrestling. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves, and we're going to get firing away right away. So let's go straight to Mr. Wells. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us where you're coaching, what you're doing, and then tell us how your first week of wrestling is going.
Okay, yeah. My name's Todd Wells. I coach at Sioux Falls Jefferson, the newest school in Sioux Falls, and we're entering our second season, coming off our first one last year. So yeah, we're super excited. I told the kids, I think we put up a really good foundation last year in our first season. Let's put the framework up now this year, up the intensity a little bit more focus, and hopefully that'll bring us a few more dual wins, and hopefully more state qualifiers and state placers. So, but yeah, this first week has been fabulous. I mean, I can't ask any more out of our kids. The energy was fantastic, and their efforts was to match that. So, really excited and a lot of kids too. I got about 50 kids in the room. So,
wow. That's awesome.
I know. And we've got a nice sized room. We got two 42 by 42 mats. So we've got the room, but it's still a little tight with 50 kids in there. So,
okay. Now, do you also have to coach the girls?
Yep. I've got an assistant, Adam Pressler. He's helping me out. And then I've got two volunteer assistants. So us four, 10 and 50 kids. Yeah.
How many are girls?
I'd say probably, I think we maybe got 6-7 girls out right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of the boys.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. We'll get to a lot of other stuff. Travis, introduce yourself.
My name is Travis Lemar. I'm the head wrestling coach at Central Cass High School in Castleton, North Dakota. Head boys, head girls coach. Been coaching for 25 years here. So been around a long time. And honestly, same, like we kind of got going last week with the girls and our junior high guys. We were lucky enough to be in the state championship for football. So this is kind of really our first real week with everybody in there. And, kids are working hard. I got some tired boys right now. Like they're finding out that, football shape is different than wrestling shape. So, but yeah, super pleased with the effort, the kids we got in there, and, we're excited for this year. Like this, we really feel this is going to be a great year for Central Cass, both on the boys and the girls side. So we were excited to get going.
Okay. Well, what are your numbers looking like?
So we're grade 7 through 12 on the boys. We're sitting right at about 45 boys there, and we're just under 20 girls this year. So, really good numbers, super happy with what we've got. And really it's a credit to our kids. Like our kids do the recruiting in the hallways. The older kids make the younger kids feel welcome all the time. So it's a welcoming environment, other than the head coach that, Bill can attest to, gets loud every once in a while. So.
Okay. Well, tell us how many of your girls are returning from the state championship team from last year?
So we had a couple that have chosen not to wrestle this year. Otherwise, we bring back pretty much everybody. And we bring back our main core. We bring back, Center, our state champ at heavyweight. We bring back all of our runner-ups. So, like our core group is still intact. Anna White was second. Grace Lamar, my daughter, was second. Jordan Flynn was also second. Shelby Sherman, she's a senior. She was fourth in what I say was probably the toughest weight class. So like we bring back a lot of talent, and I'm super excited for what we have. We have some girls too that, are just kind of on the cusp. Mallory DeVries was a 4th place finisher last year. She's back basically at even at a lower weight class than what she was at last year. So expect big things from her. So, Cheyenne Helen moved up a weight class for us just to try to score more points for us at state. We ended up in the blood round. But yeah, no, it's it's great. I mean, it really is. Our girls have done a great job getting other girls out for the program and doing those things to get them, just to keep building on what we established these last couple of years.
So now you guys basically have lots of history that I tell you what, that you started. Now tell us about how the reaction was of the crowd when you guys did the first girl-to-girl duel in North Dakota.
So typically, we wrestle in our small gym. It's our self gym, it's our auxiliary gym. Bleachers on one side, we'll pull in some portable bleachers on the other side. And it's typically standing room only in there, right? For no matter who we're wrestling on the boys' side. For this girls' duel, we decided to go in the big gym, and just to give them the big gym atmosphere and stuff like that. Didn't know who was going to show up. We packed the one side, like our big tall bleachers. We've got the one side in our gym that's almost like an class A type gymnasium with the tall bleachers. It was packed. South Border came with a ton of people. They brought their entire boys team. We had my entire boys team up there, plus parents from both sides, fans that you've never seen at a wrestling match before that just wanted to come and see it. And I truly think that's been one of the biggest positives about this is the positive spin that wrestling has gotten in media, right? Like, we've all been part of the negative stuff, the weight cutting and, skin funk caused this kid a state championship and stuff like that. That's the only time we ever make the paper, right? Now, we're finally getting in the paper for some good stuff. And I think it's bringing people into the sport that have never been involved. And they're finding out like stuff that we know, like this sport's awesome. It's life-changing for kids. And it was such a cool atmosphere. And I was so happy that we got to be a part of it with a great team in South Border too.
Well, I tell you what, you've done a great job, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. No, okay, now I want to ask you about your upcoming schedules a little bit. Okay, what's coming up for you guys in Sioux Falls? Where are your first wrestling?
Actually, December 1st is our first meet. Crosstown rival there, Washington High School. So that'll be kind of fun.
That's
just
Friday
too. So that'll be kind of fun. Kind of do a little old school here, just single duel. Two schools in Sioux Falls there. We'll get the JV girls going and the varsity match and try to really whoop it up a little bit there. And then we go to the Roosevelt Invite, which is just right next door to us there. And then the following week we'll hit Rapid City Invite, where there's a lot of schools there, North Dakota and South Dakota. Geez, it's loaded.
One of the toughest earlier tournaments that you can definitely find.
For sure. Yeah, we found out real early last year that wrestling's hard. We had a lot of inexperience. We had a lot of inexperienced kids, and after that first day, we came back to the hotel and they're just couldn't believe how tough it is. So it was a good learning experience. We got better from it.
Okay, explain to people that don't know Sioux Falls where your school is at and how the city is growing.
Oh gosh, yeah. Sioux Falls is growing leaps and bounds. We're kind of on the northwest corner of Sioux Falls. So I don't know if you guys know where STI, the Southeast Technical Institute's at.
Yep.
We're kind of right behind there, okay, off the interstate there, on Madison and I-29. So yeah, nice area on top of a hill. Not a lot of trees up there yet. So when you get out of your car like this morning, it's a windy city up there. Let me tell you, a little chilly getting out, but beautiful school.
How many kids are right now in your school?
I think we have about 15, or maybe 1,700, 15 to 1,700 kids, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and is that 9 through 12?
9 through 12, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, last year we were kind of small because a lot of the seniors wanted to stay, in the other Sioux Falls schools. And but this year I think we've got close to 500 in the freshmen, sophomores, and then the junior seniors are a little bit thinner, but it's good size though.
Definitely. Look, Travis, tell people that don't know anything about Central Cass how big your school is.
So we're growing too, and honestly, our growth is really kind of hand in hand with Mapleton. So Mapleton sits right in between us and West Fargo. So we're 20 minutes west of Fargo, right on the interstate. Mapleton sits right in between us. Mapleton's a K-6 school with no middle school, no high school. So their kids when they're done in Mapleton, kind of decide where they want to go to school. They can go into Fargo to like, to one of the West Fargo schools. Some will go down to Kindred. But what we found is most of them have been coming our way. They come over, they co-op with us for 5th and 6th grade activities. So their kids really get acclimated to our kids, our school, our systems. And when I first started here as AD, or even when I first started coaching here, Mapleton had pretty small classes. I mean, they were, one section, maybe about 10 kids in a grade. Now you're talking, they're 2-section grades where they've got 20, 30 kids in a class. And, so what started off as getting 5 kids coming over in 7th grade, now we're getting 19 to 20 every year. And it's really, growing our population, our student population. So right now our senior class is the biggest class we've had in quite some time. We're sitting right around 100, just under. The junior class, though, like dips back down in the 60s. Pretty common number for us is 70s. Always, your typical big Class B school. Kind of what I grew up in at Rugby High. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it. It's a great school. We love it here. We get great participation with all of our programs. So, but yeah, that's kind of Central Cass, and we get rolling. We get rolling here on December 3rd is our first competition. Our boys will be at the Hillsborough Duels. Our girls will be down in Napoleon, in wrestling, and their invitational down there. So that's kind of our first competition piece.
Okay. Nobody goes before Thanksgiving, I see.
Nope.
There's actually some wrestling coming up this weekend we'll talk a little bit about. Yeah, Minot already has a tournament going on, the early bird, I want to call it. Put 2 E's with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Bill, tell us just a little bit. Now, I want to compare. Now, Carrington used to be one of the biggest Class B schools. What are they graduating now in Carrington? Are they 50 still?
No, I don't believe so. I think we'd be in the 40s. And I'd probably lose track a little bit, but I would say that's going to be the ballpark there. So,
okay.
Not quite the numbers that have had in the past, but it's kind of staying steady, I guess. The elementary school has grown a little bit. So there's a few, we're seeing a little bit more migration from some of the smaller schools, kids that weren't coming over here in the past, say from Kensal or from Midkota. New Rockford, we got some wrestlers coming down, but not any students really. But I guess I should say that there is a handful of kids that have made that move too. But a little bit smaller.
Sykeston still has high school. Right?
No, they do not. No, Sykeston has no school at all. They don't
have an elementary school either. Okay.
No, that's all coming to Carrington. So I should, they're all coming to Carrington. I don't think any of them are going to Fessenden or that direction.
That's quite a ways going the other way. Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I love to hear the numbers coming out of the other schools. I wish we had those numbers coming into the Carrington wrestling room. That would be awesome. We got about that many girls, I guess. We got 17, 18 girls, but no, not, and probably about that many boys too. So it's a little smaller situation.
Yeah, if you didn't know, this is Carrington's first year with girls.
Yeah, Carrington's first year with girls. Still having girls show up. So program from the time we talked last week has grown. There's at least 3 more. And then of course, the volleyball girls are in the room now too. So, and Carrington is going to the early bird. The boys are got some junior high guys going, I think, Friday night. Then JV and varsity boys are going to wrestle on Saturday. And some of the girls are going to wrestle. There's some that, I think it's too early. I think it's too early for the boys, but that's just not me. I'm not involved, but I could see why coaches would think it's a little early. I guess I'll put it that way.
Right.
And they will have a duel before Thanksgiving, and then they'll have one after Thanksgiving. So we'll have Oaks before Thanksgiving, and that's kind of the traditional opener forever. Carrington Oaks duel the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and then
that Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah, and then Hillsborough the Tuesday after. So.
And you said that's in Carrington?
No, I think it is at Oaks this year. Yeah, we were in Carrington last year. So, yeah.
Yeah, because we are actually next Tuesday. We're going to do a live broadcast, I think, on the PSP network for the Legacy Bismarck High, both the girls and the boys. I can kind of make that announcement. They're just setting it up. And so 6:00 is the girls dual Tuesday night on the PSP network. And the boys will be at 7:30. So Legacy Bismarck High before Thanksgiving. So
Nice.
so that's only a week away. I'm going, man, time flies. Just wanted to show you guys. I did get all of my physical copies. If you can see, Dakota Grappler are all shiny. They're shinier cover. Look in the inside. You got all the teams and all that good stuff. Those that ordered, I did, like I said, I got lots of boxes. My garage is full of boxes. My wife goes, because I got one box yesterday, just one of the boxes, and they come in boxes of 25. Think of that. And if you get like 1,000 books at a time, it's a lot of boxes.
That's a lot of boxes.
and then what's interesting is I've had other people mail them out lots of years, but then they mess up and they forget to mail some, or they don't mail them to the right places. So I took it on to start mailing them myself. And so I put a load out today. So some people are getting those that ordered on Dakota Grappler, those I think all got mailed today, those that ordered one. Now, those that are advertisers and everybody else, they'll be getting theirs in batches, probably at 100 or 200 a time as this week goes. So, but also some people asked some questions tonight, whatever. I'll give away some Dakota Grapplers to some people. Probably what I will do, if anybody wants a hard copy, I can get you a digital copy pretty much instantly, but I've got 4 extra ones I brought here tonight that I will give away to some people that ask questions. So, or put some comments out there. I'll just make some random picks later in the show. So you guys are out there. We'll get your email address and I'll send you, or your physical address or whatever, and get you one. Okay. So that's enough of the self-promotion, I guess. Let's talk wrestling. I wanted to talk a little bit about your coaching philosophy in your room, and starting because you started with kind of a younger team in Sioux Falls, and you are not a young coach. So young coaches have all this fire. Are you a fiery coach in the room, or are you kind of just moving their way? Tell me a little bit about your coaching philosophy and how you handle your team, especially early in the season and some of the younger wrestlers.
I'd say I'm a little bit older coach, but I'm still kind of fiery. I like to get in. I really don't wrestle so much anymore with the boys, but I can yell pretty good and try to motivate them, getting excited and show technique and stuff. But our philosophy, our vision, first of all, is to, last year when we first year is to, build a high caliber program, and try to maximize the potential out of our kids, not only in wrestling, but in life. So we're trying to really, live that vision and then just get better every day. That's our mission. Just try to get better every single day. And it's not about the wins and losses. It's about just making the improvements. And so we just kind of concentrated on that. And so I inherited about 3 kids that had varsity experience prior to that. So we had lots of inexperience, and we took some lumps, no doubt about it. But we retained most of those kids, and I think they got better. We took 7 kids to the state tournament, and 3 of them placed. And so we're hoping to do bigger and better things this year, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you guys had a very good football team too this year.
Oh, absolutely. We were tremendous. Skill positions, the line. We had it all. Yeah, we went 12.
They just had their state tournament last weekend too, and I was watching those. They did a very good job on the South Dakota Prairie public access is unbelievable. They do a great job for wrestling. They do a great job for all their state tournament basically stuff.
Yeah.
So I got to watch those peer, and I watched. Of course, they've got a quarterback going D1 out of there, and oh yeah, definitely. Okay, how about you, Travis? Tell us a little about your coaching philosophy. How are you handling your kids? Now, you've been around the sport a long time, so you know when to coddle, when not to.
Yeah, it's funny how some things have changed, but some things stay the same, right? I would say that anybody that watches me coach at a duel or a tournament is going to see the same guy that started coaching 25 years ago. I'm still pretty fiery. I still get pretty passionate and emotional. However, I've also learned, when's the right time for that? When's the time to back off? same philosophy as Coach Wells, right? Like we want to build a really, a strong program, but it's really about getting 1% better every day, and just preaching that, making sure that our coaches are coaching every single minute that they're in the room. There's no time off when you're in there. You should be just as tired as the guys when you leave, whether you wrestle or not. Just you're in there to invest into these kids, and that's what we expect out of you. That's what I expect out of you. We're going to try and get you in and get you out in a timely manner. So when you're in there, we expect it to be work. There's going to be times where we get to have fun and do those kind of things. But, if we want to get in and out, we want to put the work in when it needs to get put in. Same. I don't always wrestle anymore. Kind of like I used to. I used to be a everyday suit up guy. I'm not anymore. It's I have a lot of younger guys that wrestled for me or wrestled in the area that are my assistants. Those guys wrestle every day. However, the guys know that the day I come in the room and my wrestling shoes are tied, they know that it's game on. So yeah, it's
name some of your guys that help you out.
So I've got I have Andrew Yonke, who wrestled for me. I have Jeremiah Sullivan, who wrestled for me. Spencer Sweeney, who wrestled up at Larimore and at Jamestown. Gavin Wright is new this year. He's helping us out. I've got a guy by the name of Brad Mullum, who he's not as old as me, but he's older than the rest of my young guys. He wrestled. He's from Wisconsin. Him and his wife moved here. He wrestled up at Itasca. We've got a lot of great guys that come in the room. Cade Merrigan has been one of my assistants for a long time. Andrew Volk, obviously Rod's son, wrestled for me. The Volk family's been involved in wrestling forever. He's in there as kind of one of my main assistants too.
That's enemy territory. That's Lisbon blood.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Hey, the Volks live here too. So, and I don't care where you wrestled. If you can help my kids, I got a spot for you in my room. And people, Lisbon does things right. I mean, they prove it every year. So, anything that that they can do. Gavin wrestled for some great coaches up in Hillsboro, and he's been a good addition so far this year too. I really want to make sure that my guys have great people that they can look up to, and great wrestlers that they can learn from. At the end of the day, we want to win state titles. We want to win region titles. We want to beat Carrington, right? But
and usually do.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but at the end of the day, like it's our job to help raise good young men and women, and that's what we want. We want positive contributors to society, and I hope that being a part of my program helps them get to that point. So that's kind of where we're at on our philosophy. We work hard, but it's a caring environment. People know that we care about them. So.
Well, I've always had a question. Now, you had an interesting young man. We called him Jake the Snake as he grew up last year, who played both basketball and wrestled. So that's quite the experience. I always expected him. He's been quite the athlete. Football, phenomenal last year.
Yep.
How did you handle that as a coach with basketball? I know you kind of let the kids do what you need, and you have a big enough team. But tell us about his addition that he was with.
Yeah. So. Jake, when he he lives in Fargo, so he's an open enrolled kid, was, going to school at Cheyenne, and just really wanted to be part of a smaller community where he could do more, right? Like he wanted to play football. Like for us, I mean, the kid was involved in football, basketball, track, wrestling, golf. Like he wanted to do everything that he could, right? And in a Class A school, that's hard to do. In a school our size, it's a little easier for him to do those things. The basketball coach and I have a great relationship. Coach Norman and I sat down, and when Jake came out here, when he was a freshman, he was a little more dedicated towards wrestling because he wasn't a player on the basketball floor. So I got him all the time. And then as he moved on and became a junior and a senior, he became a starter on the basketball floor. So he went to basketball practice all the time. We did morning workouts, Jeremiah. I used to have Austin Russ that coached with me too. They'd come in the morning and they'd work out with him. They'd wrestle with him, and he'd get his wrestling workout in the morning and go to basketball in the afternoon. Doing those kind of things. Anytime that there was a double up, if it was a region duel, normally Coach Norman would give them to me. If it was a region basketball game and we're wrestling a non-conference duel or something like that, he'd go play basketball. We really worked well with each other just to make sure that Jake got the best experience that he could have. But it beat him up. Like, we had to really be easy with him towards the end of his senior year. I mean, he was wrestling hurt. He was playing basketball hurt. He signed to Valley City, go to play football for them, and got there and found out he had to have some hip things done to him. And, so he had the medical this year and stuff. But okay. I mean, the kid's an animal. He was such a great addition to our school, not just our programs, just to our school. I mean, well liked by everybody, just a super cool kid. So glad that I got the opportunity to be able to coach him and know him.
That's a good deal. Good deal. I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, he's fun. He's fun. It's live or die though, right? Like it's electric wrestling, and but he's the kind of kid that's going to bring people in the gym because they want to see what he does, and so that was fun. We got a lot of people that came and watched just to see what he would do. So, yeah.
No, I remember him and his dad when he was a little kid, and that's where he got the nickname. He had a singlet with a big snake across it all the way around, and they call him Jake the Snake. Yeah.
Yep.
And he didn't lose many matches when he was a kid by any means.
He was a tough kid wrestling with tech team.
Yep.
I was always happy my kid was just a little bit heavier. Because he was that tough. I'm going, okay. But we did have to wrestle later on, but it wasn't very pretty for my boy.
Uh-huh.
So tell us a little bit more about some of your athletes that you have coming from Sioux Falls. I want to know, give me some of the names and what it's looking like for your team, some of the guys that are really standing out right now.
We've got a really
guys and girls. I don't mean to
guys and girls. Yeah.
Way.
Okay. Yeah. We've got kind of looking over the roster right now. We've got 8 seniors. One of them's got really good. He came in with some varsity experience and he had a great year last year. He just had a really super tough weight class at 138 last year in South Dakota, and I think he got 5th in the region tournament. But Nolan Jessen is his name, and hard worker. I'm really expecting big things from him this year. He really wants to, get on the podium this year, but he's put in a great off season, preseason too. And he's been a great leader for us this year. And so him, and then got a couple other seniors that are hoping to get to the state tournament, maybe get on that podium as well. And I got quite a few juniors, that want to do that as well. And ton of sophomores. I got like 14 sophomores, and then this year I got like 9 ninth graders. So those ninth graders are pretty inexperienced. One of them's got some pretty good experience, one ninth grader, but a lot of them are pretty inexperienced. But we'll hopefully bring those guys around slowly. But yeah, really good sophomore class, and hopefully, they can accomplish their goals. That's the main thing. But the girls, we've got, like I said, 6 girls. One of the girls that placed 5th for us last year, she graduated. She was a senior last year, and she's actually being a volunteer assistant for me this year. Kennedy needed. So that's kind of nice to have her back. She was a great culture builder for us last year in the room, and just seeing her back in the room again, it makes a big difference. So she's really working hard with the current girls that we have in there. So hopefully she'll make them better. Juma Dukali, she placed 5th last year. She did not come out right yet. So we're working on her hard to get her to come back out, but she's got a lot of athletic talent, unbelievable, for her first year last year, and she placed 5th in the state. But those, a lot of good kids, and just excited to work with them all.
Okay, well, that sounds good. How about some of your lower weights on your team? I know that you had some young guys that really started to come on at the end of last year.
Yeah, my son, he's hoping to make 6 again this year with that no OPC certification. That's going to be a little bit different for us. But yeah, he's hoping to be at 106. He placed 7th last year, so he's excited to be maybe the bigger guy in the weight class. Last year, he gave up a lot of horsepower, probably weighed in like 104, 5, all year long, and wrestling with those guys that dropped down from 16, 15, and so I think that'll be a little bit nicer for him. But yeah, we've got Derek Ranshaw. He wrestled 13 last year for us. Graham Wilde, he transferred over. He was at Roosevelt. He's a transfer for us. My son and him wrestled each other on so many times last year. So that's kind of nice to have him in the room. Iron sharpens iron there. So that'll be good. Brady Kunart, he's been with us the last couple of years, hoping to make the lineup there at 13, and Derek at maybe at 20, and Graham Wilde at 26. And so those kind of our lower weight guys. But yeah, like I say, and then Aiden Dooley, he went to the state tournament last year at 132, hoping to be at 138 and hopefully get on the podium there. And he wrestles a lot with Nolan. So those guys just, battle back and forth and don't know how to drill. They just want to just beat each other up. I got to kind of tone those guys down a little bit, but yeah, so there's a lot of excitement. We got our heavyweight back too. He got to the state tournament. God, I think he won a couple matches there, and we call him the closer. He's an entertainer. Let me tell you. Oh my gosh, he loves to be out in center and put on a show, and he's a crowd favorite. But yeah, hopefully get him on the podium too. But yeah, so there's a lot of enthusiasm. We got a lot of big goals, lofty goals for a lot of those kids, and hopefully we make it happen.
Okay, Bill, you got any questions to fire out?
Yeah, Travis, are you running? So you got a lot of kids in the room. Are you running boys and girls practicing together, or how are you doing that?
Yeah. So, when we did year one, I had the girls come up and they said they wanted to try wrestling, and this was the year before sanctioned. And I said, tell you what, you get 8 girls, and we'll practice separately from the boys because they didn't want to practice with the boys. So. And that year they wanted to do morning practices. So it was 6 a.m. practices every day that year, which made for a pretty long season. And then year 2, they said, hey, we want to practice separate, but we don't want to practice at 6 a.m. And I said, thank you. I don't either. So we got pretty unique with the way that we schedule. We go longer during the day, like that kind of modeled our boys and girls basketball. Like our boys and girls basketball share the big gym. So 1 week it's the girls are early, they'll go from 4 to 6, and the boys are late, they'll go from 6 to 8. So we kind of do the same thing, just not that late. So we're I've always had long practices. It's what I grew up in. It's what I was used to. So what we did last year was, we told them, like, look, it's going to be a long practice, but we're going to break it up. So if the girls are early that week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they're on the mat right away after school. And they have the mat, from 3:45 until just after 5 o'clock. While they're doing that, we're a team that's big into lifting and conditioning. We don't cut a ton of weight. It's just not something that I enjoyed doing when I was in college. It's not something that I ever did in high school. We'll have some kids that do cut, like any other program, but for the majority, we're going to lift 3 to 4 days a week, and we're going to condition. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday will be our lift days, as long as we don't have a duel or something. But so our if it's girls are early, they're on the mat. Boys are late on the mat, so they'll start in the weight room, get their condition in, and then they come into the room and we'll wrestle. And then when they come in, the girls will go out and they'll do their condition and lift at that time. So it's kind of what we do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, with it being a church night, what we do is we'll bring them all in the morning. And if the girls are early like they were today, the girls will be on the mat. The boys will get a condition in, so they come in a little bit later. And then after school, the boys are on the mat. The girls do their condition. They go home, so they get out early. So it's one day a week, they get to feel like pretty normal high school kids leaving after school. Maybe it's a little bit later, 4:10, 4:15 by the time they're done. But we found that to work pretty well for them last year. When we did our exit interviews with all of our kids, especially with our seniors, like with Jake, he said he really enjoyed that piece. Our other kids who, I'll say are mat rats, love wrestling, and you think like, you never feel like you're getting them enough mat time. At the end of the year, when we did our exit interviews with them, they said, we love this practice schedule. Like, we feel like we get enough time, but we're not dragging. It's not just a really long practice and stuff. So the kids really loved it. And we said, well, we'll stick with it. If that's what you guys like, and you're going to work hard for that hour and 15 minutes or hour and 20 minutes that you're on the mat, let's just keep rolling with it. So.
Yeah, you have to really come up with some good ideas with both girls and boys in small space.
Yeah, that's a good plan. That worked out pretty good. And I have a question on so you obviously were there with the girls right from the start, right? And Coach Wells mentioned you got a couple of guys there that don't really know how to drill very well. They kind of go balls to the wall all the way. I find the same thing with the girls, right? They don't know that yet, right? How was that process to kind of teach them how to spar, essentially, right?
Obviously I'm a huge advocate, and anybody that's starting girls wrestling, and you have questions, call me, text me, email me, and I'll tell you everything that I found that worked well and things that were terrible. I have no problem sharing it. I just want to see it grow. The biggest thing, like I told, your guys, right, Kip and Paz, was, the thing that you really have to do with the girls is you have to teach them how to wrestle. You can teach them a half, you can teach them a single, double, sprawl, crossface, all that kind of stuff. But until they understand what wrestling truly is, nothing ever is going to click for them. It just doesn't. So it was really teaching them how to wrestle and really getting into the why behind everything that they do, right? Because they never had youth wrestling. So, as you're teaching a kid and they're growing up in kindergarten and first grade, and you're teaching them wrist control and why you have wrist control and stuff, when you have that kid coming in as a 7th, 8th grader, 9th grader, you don't have to teach the why behind it. So you kind of forget about that piece. And with the girls, you really have to teach the why. And then beyond that, you have to teach, okay, they're going to grab your wrists. Here's what they're trying to do. Here's what you're trying to stop them from doing. It really gets into almost like a history lesson of the sport of wrestling. And once they understand that piece, like, you just see things just start to click so much faster for them. So for me, like, that's what it was, is just really getting in and teaching them the why. Like today was the first time we really live wrestled with them. And I said, look, a bunch of you are brand new to this. You don't know half the moves. We haven't gotten into anything really. Like, I just want you to go out there and just try and do things, so you get the feel of what it's like trying to attack somebody's legs, what it's like when they're trying to attack yours, so that as we continue moving on and learning new technique, you understand the pieces that go, that go together, and why we talk about doing one thing to another, to another, to another. So that's kind of how we've done it. It's what we've found to have the most success in getting them to understand it faster, and click sooner with them.
Yeah. Hey, what I have found and was with the girls, that when you do that, and that's go through that process, boy, they do learn quick, right? I mean, yeah, differently than the the kindergartners and the first graders and the second graders, right? I mean, because they've got more fully developed brains, even more fully developed brains than the 18-year-old boys. I would say that too.
And honestly, the thing that's been really cool is they don't have bad habits.
Exactly.
I mean, you get to break them of like, oh, so I'm going to reach back here. Like, you break that from them so quickly because they weren't having success reaching back and pulling people to their backs as second and third graders, so. Right. Yeah, it is. It's and they just want to learn. I mean, they are a sponge when it comes to knowledge with this stuff, that's what's been, I think, really such a fun experience for us.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that idea about the why, teaching them the why behind it. I mean, I got a lot of kids that just don't have no experience, never went through that youth program. And I know some of the kids that have experience are like, oh gosh, you're taking so long. But I think it's important, like you said, that why is good to know,
Yeah. And I think, Travis is right. That's the same story. If you've got a freshman or a sophomore boy that's never been through the program too, it's the same. And we forget that a lot of times. When you have 15 of them, you know what you have to do.
Right.
But when you have, 25 boys that have been wrestling for a long time and a couple extras in there that aren't, you got to take that time to have that discussion. Yeah, that's a good point.
Do wrestling dads make good wrestling dads with the girls? Like the boys? You have a daughter that wrestles. How are you on the mat with her versus now your boy?
That's a great question. So the reason this whole thing got started was because of my daughter. She bugged me to wrestle and bugged me to wrestle, and I'm nope, just kept saying no, right? And then I realized what I was telling her was she couldn't do something because it was supposed to be meant for boys, right? And what a crappy lesson to teach a young girl, right? And so I'm like, okay, we're all in, right? My son is great. He's a great, kind soul. He's a lot like his mother. Just a great human being, right? My daughter is a great human being in the fact that she's like her mother in some areas, and she's a lot like her dad. So
physical, yes.
Yeah, like there are times where we're both stubborn people. We both butt heads and things like that. But, like one of the big things that I found with the girls is, when they lose, it's not that they're, it's a huge self-confidence thing, right? Like, like a lot of times with guys, you'll see that too, but just not to the extreme, right? So when girls come off the mat, it's the 90-10 rule. Like for guys, there's 90% of the guys in your room that you can coach hard, right? They come off the mat after wrestling, you can chew them out and do those kind of things, and then you build them back up later. And there's 10% of the guys in your room that you just know you can't do that to, right?
Right.
Well, it's flipped on the girl side. You have 10% that you can probably coach hard. And my daughter's one of them. At least I think she is. I hope she is. Because that's how I coach her. And you have 90% that, hey, when they come off the mat, it's always learning, always teaching. And that's really the biggest change or the biggest difference I've seen between them. Otherwise, for the most part, it's really the same, for my son, he spent the last 2 years sitting in the corner with me coaching because he tore his ACL in football 2 years in a row. So any matches that he gets this year at the start of the year are just going to be gravy in my household, honestly. We'll worry about, coaching hard and doing those kind of things after Christmas break because I just really want him to get to experience some of it. He's been a trooper for us and really helping our lower weights out and really coaching them up, scouting competition and doing those kind of things for us. So, he's going to get a grace period with Coach Lemar for the beginning, and then it'll be back to normal Coach Lemar. And anybody that knows me, I love my kids. My own son and daughter. I love all my wrestlers. I'm going to coach them hard, but it's out of love. It always is. I always tell our kids, I'm never going to be disappointed in you unless you give me poor attitude or poor effort, because those are two things you can control in life. No matter where you're at in life, you can always control your attitude and effort. So that's our big lesson. And if they give me great effort on the mat and they lose, you know what? You're going to wrestle people that are better than you. You just are. And that's part of life. So you give me poor attitude or poor effort, you see this big bald guy start to get a little red and start to get a little frustrated. So, but yeah, it really depends, John. It's like anybody else in your room. You know who you can coach hard and you know who you can't. I've got some girls that I can coach just like I would anybody else. I've got some girls that I can't, and I have the same thing on the boys' side. I have some boys that when they lose, hey, it's arm around their shoulder. Come here, we're okay. You know, let's talk about this. Let's, you know, here's what we need to fix, and here's how we're going to get better. And I have some that when they come off the mat, they look at me, I look at them. They know that I'm upset, and we talk later. So it's the one thing I've learned.
I give you a huge example. Yesterday at the Century Room, they were taking team pictures, which is just a cluster with all the other explanations to it. but so you got all these people taking pictures, and I'm watching the guys just go, come on, we'd like to get a little practice in and whatever else. And you're just waiting and trying to get all this done. And you're taking individual shots and that. And then I'm sitting there, and by the time it was done, the girls start filing in, and their smiles and their hair has to be right. And they're very proud of the pictures, and they're taking special poses with their wrestling singlets. And I'm going, man, what a difference. Like, just attitude. Like, they enjoyed that day so much, and these boys just hated it to the limit. Like you got to be kidding me. We got to be doing this. And the girls said, this is just the greatest day ever. And I'm going, just picking up that energy difference. You know, I've said this before in other shows at the state wrestling tournament that I actually – now, I get emotional some, but watching the girls' matches brought tears to my eyes after when they're hugging the other girl and the guys rushing off to the other side and are just mad. And there's a different respect for the sport for the girls and the guys. Because I don't know what it is when it's all done. Because I think the girls see the bigger picture easier when it's all said and done. I really believe that. And that's why they make good wrestling moms.
You know, what's funny about that is it's not just after the match too. Like, Grace is like, I mean, I was the kid that when I wrestled, like, you didn't come up and talk to me before a match. Like, I was zoning in. Like, you just left me alone, right? Unless you were my coach. Otherwise, get away from me. And Grace is similar in that attitude. And so she'd be on deck, and I'd come up, and she's sitting there hopping around and warmed up and ready to go. And I'd be like, who do you have? And I'm looking across, and I don't see anybody on the other side. And it's the girl she's talking to. And I'm like, you know, I had never done that. Like, I barely talked to my opponents after we got done wrestling, let alone beforehand. So, but it's just a different, it's a different competition, like, level with them. They respect each other so much, and they honestly care for each other, it's really cool to see, you know, how, like, they are happy for each other. I mean, they're disappointed if they lost, but they're definitely happy for the other person that won. So yeah, it's unique, but it's quite the ride.
One of my favorite stories was we had a bunch of girls in this spring right after Carrington decided to have a program, and they were coming in and wrestling, and most of them obviously had zero experience, and we would show a move, and then we'd bring them, you know, who wants to show the move, and get a couple girls, and they'd show the move, and we had 15 girls up clapping for the girls when they did the right. Nice. I'm like, I've been in wrestling rooms for close to 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. And it was awesome. I wasn't complaining. I thought it was the best. And it's still happening today, right? I mean, they're still that excited, you know, when something goes in. So that's great. I can see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of, you know, coaching experience with girls, but yeah, Travis, you kind of, you know, hit it right there. I mean, I see all those things you said, you know, throughout the year last year. So.
Hey, I just got to say one thing, and I've watched Travis coach for close to 20 years. You know, when he says, you know, he's passionate and his kids know they love him, there's no doubt about that, right? I mean, if you're standing across the mat, which, you know, we have, and there's times that his kids come off and they got beat, right? I mean, they wrestled their tail off, and what he did, he's just like, that's it, right? Hey, you did it. You did everything you could. And then, you know, but you know, they went back to the lab and they're working hard to beat you next time, right? I mean, no, it's been a pleasure to watch him. And when you watch him, you know that those kids care about what he thinks. And I you know, it's been fun to watch. So I'm glad that he's working with the girls and as well as the boys. But I'd rather he was working with the boys only. Leave the girls alone. Go give that to someone else, and leave.
I can't.
Leave it to. No,
you know me, Bill. You know me.
I think you tried to quit. I didn't know what happened. I
did. I tried to step away for a year. I thought it would be best as to be just a dad in the stands, and I turned it over to Coach Renner. He after a year he decided he didn't want to live in North Dakota anymore. He was moving out to Carolina, and superintendent came and said, we want you back. Like you need to come back. And I talked to my kids, and they were both on board with me coming back. And I got to be honest, I was a terrible fan in the stands, right? Like everybody that we as coaches complain about, kids looking up in the stands, listening to that guy instead of me as the coach. I was that guy. Like I tried to keep my mouth shut, couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know if I ever will be able to. Like the day I finally decide to walk away from this sport, I'm going to have to walk away completely, or I'm going to annoy somebody, some poor coach that is going to be like, who is this fool up in the stands yelling at my kid? And that's just who I am. And
there's
Bill,
no
I
arenas
appreciate
big
it.
enough. You can't
You
can't get far enough away.
No, I know. So yeah, I appreciate it, man. We've had great matches with Carrington. We've had great rivals with you guys. I've always respected your kids, and your son was a phenomenal wrestler. It seemed like we could never figure out how to beat Billy. So, you
beat him plenty of times.
I don't know about that, but
Kyle did, and so did Adam.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we get a cradle on you, and that works. Other times not so much. But no, I am. I mean, I'm a passionate guy. I learned from my high school coach, and that's how he coached me, and I looked up to him. I still look up to him immensely, and that's how he coached, and I'm like, I felt like that was the right way, and that's how I try to do it. I try to make him proud, try to make everybody proud, and just try to make sure that our kids are getting out of the program everything that I got out of the program growing up. And I'm a big believer in giving back, and I think we all are. That's why we do what we do, so. And if you aren't doing it for that, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
That's for sure.
That's right. One of the biggest compliments I got for you, Travis, that over the years I've watched you too, and it's one of these passionate things about learning and getting better as a coach. I remember your younger days and you wanting to learn so bad, and sometimes as a young coach, you don't always do the right thing, but you're always learning, and you've always gotten better. Your teams, I respect them a ton. I mean, I've seen some of the best discipline and best kids out on the mat every year from your guys, and so it's a compliment to you as a coach, because I always see good things out of your team.
I appreciate it, John. I mean, I had great guys along the way. Like I said, Coach Linsmeyer, Coach Higbee were phenomenal coaches for me growing up. And then when I got to go to Valley City and wrestle, I got to learn from you and Coach Kelly, and
yep.
A lot of great guys in that room that really helped me. I've had a lot of great mentors along the way too. Guys that were older coaches when I first started coaching, and guys that were coaching when I was in high school that I got to learn from and stuff as a young coach. And, I think it is our job to continue to try and learn and teach kids new techniques and what's out there now, because, the kids watch, college stuff, and that's what they want to try and emulate. And if you're not trying to at least kind of teach that, you're losing them. And, like I said, I just try to do what we can here and give our kids the best experience possible.
Yep. Nope. And that's all the years that you put in, if you don't love the sport, you couldn't do it as a coach either, Definitely. Well, we're sitting at that time. We're getting down to about 6 minutes till we're at an hour already, Bill. It's amazing how time flies. Like I say, every week it just goes by so quick. So I want to mention a couple of things before we do the rapid fire questions. But Bill, just anything coming up? I know they just put the world teams for international stuff together. I looked at them. I was kind of surprised by a couple of the girls that got on there. But, the stuff that's coming up, but I really like what they're doing. The men's team looks phenomenal. I think both of them look phenomenal. But I was I was kind of surprised. Anything you got to say about that stuff?
Yeah, we got 5 of our men's world team members on there. I think a few less number ones on the women's side. I know there was some complaint. Of course, we'd all like to see, the David Taylors and Kyle Dakes and, Gilman's Russell at every event, and they're just not gonna. I mean,
Right.
So to me, I think the fact that we got 5 great returning world team members on that, I think is a good thing. But the guys that aren't returning world team members are going to be really fun to watch too, right? We get to see, Gwizdowski wrestling also. We're going to get to see Mark Hall and Valencia wrestling there too. So, I mean, there's, that our 1s, 2s, and 3s on the men's side and the women's side are all really fun to watch. So either way, it's going to be a great event.
And what's the date on that again?
I think it's the 9th and 10th, or that weekend.
Yep.
I think it's that weekend. So, it'll be a great event. Like Iran's coming. They're not bringing their 1s, right? They're bringing their U23 team, I think. So, we're gonna get to see Seth Gross is wrestling. Ron Heaton Gross is wrestling.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, and I know that we'll be wrestling all over the place in the state of North and South Dakota. Record it, let the kids watch it. I know it's freestyle. It's different than what they're doing. It doesn't matter. Wrestling's wrestling. Give the girls something to watch. It's get the boys watching it. I think it's very valuable. I can't say it enough how important it is, for these young kids to watch wrestling, besides what they're seeing at their local tournament. I think it helps build their mind. It helps them see other things. It helps, see outside of themselves. So and that's going to be a great opportunity, some world-class wrestling.
And then
I'd like to go, but I'm not going to.
Yep.
What's that?
College has got Daktronics this weekend.
Yeah, Daktronics is on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yep, on Sunday, not Saturday. It's Sunday.
No, it's on Sunday.
Oh, that could change my traveling schedule a little bit, because I was going, I was thinking if I head that way, it's really going to make me a long Saturday. But if it's Sunday, I might be able to squeeze down there.
Awesome. Well, I maybe would run with you, but yeah, I
Okay.
kind of have it on my.
I'll stay in touch.
Have it on my schedule. I wouldn't mind going. So,
Well, stay in touch because Saturday I plan on coming through Carrington actually, because I'm thinking of taking a route and bringing a bunch of books, so I can get to the Headlock Bar, a bunch of books, and a couple of the places. Easier for me than mailing them, because it might take a week in the mail. I might as well bring a load and just take a small trip around there. I could go Minot, and come down, catch.
Yeah, Daktronics it'll be a great event. So yeah, it'll be fun. I think Northern States sending some guys. I'm sure NDSU will have a decent contingent there. Of course, South Dakota State.
Nebraska's not coming there.
Nebraska's not coming?
Nebraska's not. No, I talked to somebody. They're going down to another tournament.
I wonder if there's any commitment. Just a little bit on the Nebraska front. Kyle Berwick went out and wrestled in the Cowboy Open in Wyoming and won that.
Oh, I missed that. Oh,
yeah.
Man, how did I miss that?
So he had a good tournament. Actually wrestled Jor Volk. With North Dakota ties, obviously, from Lisbon and Carrington. Jor's mother is
who won 18U or whatever.
Right. Yeah, world champion.
Yeah, he's a world champion.
Yeah, and Kyle won that match. So yeah, it was fun to see that Kyle was out there in an open tournament. Also, Ridge Levitt, their returning national runner up at 149, was, I believe, his red shirt in this year, and he was out there too. So they sent some guys there. So I wouldn't be shocked if you saw some of that happen. Some of those guys come up to the Daktronics, even though the rest of the team isn't. I don't know what's going to happen. So, but I'm sure Augie will be there. Northern State's going. I don't know if everybody's wrestling, but they had they came off the Dakota Wesleyan last weekend, which had Moorhead was there.
I looked at that result. So there's some good matches.
It's a great
there.
tournament. It's a
in fact,
huge
there was a couple
tournament.
weight classes where they ran out of matches.
They always do. Every match. I probably did. I wouldn't be. I would guess every weight class would. I mean, they always do. Brandon Selfrank took 6 there, and because his fifth and sixth match, he had to forfeit because of too many matches. So, Landon Fisher, for Rapid City kid, wrestling for Northern, had a really good tournament. So yeah, it was good. And
the Bison Open was last weekend.
Bison Open was last weekend.
Minnesota dominated pretty well.
They did. It was
winning.
unfortunate. I mean, good for Minnesota, but it wasn't as big as we'd like to see. I think there was 83 entrants there all total. So the Bison didn't wrestle some guys. I don't like to see that, but Mary was going to be there, and I think the weather probably may have kept them away. But
then I saw that Metz is an assistant wrestling coach. Do you see that?
I did. Yeah, I see that he's going to be helping at Moorhead.
Yep.
So it'd be a good addition to that room, I would guess.
And that's kind of all the news out there.
Yeah, there'll be some big D1 stuff happen, but it'll be interesting. Yeah, we're really going to start getting rolling. The high school seasons are getting rolling. We'll see what happens in Minot this weekend, and then like I said, it'll get to the 1st of December area, and things will really explode.
And I started to put together. I pretty much have the rankings done for North Dakota, but I might wait till this weekend's done and kind of do some adjustments and see maybe after that first duel, maybe after next Tuesday, I'll get a little feeling on a few more weight classes. But so you guys can look forward to that. I do have some rankings coming out very soon for North Dakota. I know South Dakota, I've got those guys itching with I didn't even talk about that. The weight class thing, the OPC stuff that South Dakota is experiencing for the first time. They have never done the weight descent. And
we talked about that last week. It'll be,
yep. And so one quick question on you, Coach Wells.
Yeah.
How's the craziness with the weight cutting program that you guys are doing for the first time?
Yeah, like I say, it's first year. And, there's definitely some anxiety, I think, with some of our wrestlers about it. With the state saying, you got to be hydrated and drink, I don't know, 8 to 8 ounce glasses of water, per day. Gosh, I don't even know if I do that. It's hard to get all that water in you. So I don't know, the hydration thing, and just that 7%. Yeah, where you lie there. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, and hopefully it'll be a good thing though.
Okay, well, I will fire some rapid fire questions your way. You guys have not done this before. These are just some quick questions that we asked the guys just to get some personality, and then when we're done with this, we'll call it a show. So let's try this first one. What is it like to be coached by you if asked by your wrestlers? Let's go Coach Wells first.
What is it like to be coached by you? Well, hopefully it'll be a good experience, I guess. I know I'm going to give them my very best, and I expect the same out of them too. And we're in it together, So we're just trying to be the best we can be as a team.
Okay, Trav.
Guy who's super passionate about you as an individual, your success, your failures, everything, and is going to give you everything he's got every time you step on the mat.
Okay, awesome. Gatorade or Powerade? Coach Wells.
Gatorade.
Trav? Diamond Dew.
That's what I was going to say.
Popsicles or dilly bars?
Dilly bars.
Same.
What kind? What flavor?
Chocolate for me.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Last week it was both two butterscotch.
Butterscotch last week. 3 characteristics that all wrestlers need to have.
Grit. Toughness. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, work ethic. It's hardest sport out there. I mean, you got to be willing to put forth the work.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a mama's boy or a rebel?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Depends on what stage of life I was in.
Okay, Trav.
Oh, I like to think I'm a rebel, but I was a mama's boy all the way. Always was, always will be.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Fast paced or consistently slow?
Fast paced.
Yeah. Same.
Also, were you a physical or mental athlete?
God, I'd like to say, try to be equal in both, but
okay,
probably more technical than physical, maybe.
Oh, okay. Trav, you were more physical.
Yeah. I mean,
you're now more mental.
Yeah, like I always like to say that I was a great student of the game, especially the game of football and stuff. But like when I wrestled, I tried to beat people up. I didn't care about anything else. So
Yep.
yeah,
Very
physical.
Favorite holiday?
Oh, it's coming up. Thanksgiving, baby. Love the food.
Yeah, I love the food from Thanksgiving. For me, though, it just goes back to being a kid and Christmas with my mom. So that one.
Awesome. Okay. Dan Gable or Cale Sanderson?
Wow. I tried to be Dan Gable back in the 90s, and so I been to his camps. I haven't even been to his house, so that was pretty cool. But I think I was tried to be a little too intense back when I was trying to be Dan Gable, coaching high school kids. But yeah, I'd probably go Dan Gable, but man, Sanderson, he's pretty amazing. Oh, geez.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Gable's the OG, but like I respect the heck out of Cale. I've got to meet him multiple times. Just salt of the earth, super great human. Love the way he handles his kids or his team. So respect both of them immensely, but I'd go Cale.
Okay. Favorite number?
Probably 30, my football number.
Okay.
For me, whatever reason, it's always been 2, just the number 2. Always kind of been.
Wrestling
Nothing.
coaches, it's supposed to be 2 for takedown.
Yeah,
I heard you say
I
it
don't
lots
know.
of times. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd like to think that we'd get it, but I don't know. Yeah, number 2.
Okay. Awesome. Best wrestler you ever wrestled?
Gosh.
You can bring up many other names if you want to name drop.
Well, I did wrestle Lincoln McAravey at a camp one time, and yeah, that wasn't too pretty on my part anyway.
Drow?
Oh man, I'm so old. I don't even know. I mean, in high school, I wrestled against Coach Schumacher at a wrestling camp, and he did things to me I didn't know were possible. So, Shuey was great. Obviously, at VCSU, I learned a ton from Sarge and Kurt Zink. I've wrestled
Sarge
some great
was an
people
animal.
out there. Yeah,
I mentioned Sarge over and over again. He was one of the toughest guys I ever wrestled in that room as a coach. I was going, he just was impossible to take down.
Yeah.
National finalist, couldn't win it, but he was awesome. Couple-time national finalist.
Yep.
Sarge Truesdale up in Alaska. Yep. That's a good name right there. Bring back memories. Any habit you learned in wrestling that you still do today?
Discipline.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a habit so much, but I would say because of the sport of wrestling, I became way more superstitious with everything. Like, I just and I don't know. I suppose it's routine. Like this is what I wear. This is how I warm up. This is what I do. So, I guess if you don't want to call it superstition, you could call it routine. So.
Sure, I like that. Myself, I still weigh in every morning. and I dream about still wrestling matches. I don't know what kind of habit that is. I used to dream about that when I was okay. Which show would you belong on? Swamp People, Survivor, or The Voice?
Oh gosh. Jeez. Survivor, probably.
Okay.
Well, I don't think I can
sing,
but I'll take The Voice because I'm probably the loudest guy in the gym every Saturday, so I'll take that one.
Okay. Cat, bird, or dog?
I go dog.
Okay.
Definitely dog for me.
Wrestling coaches are dog guys. And I think the last one is right here. If you could have been a fly on a wall in some other coach's room, whose wrestling room would you have spied on?
I'd love to be like in the Iowa room back in the 90s, back when they're winning all those national titles with Brands Bros and McAravey and Gable leading it. That'd been pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that'd been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree there. If it was high school though, it would have been Barry McClary's room. Okay. Like honestly, just his 7-year run that he went on, just being being able to see what it was like in there.
Yep, they have some great names. You think about just the McCleary boys, but you got a bunch of other ones from
Yep.
Reese, and you can keep going on with. They produced some great wrestlers out of that little area. Definitely.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, that's great, guys. I appreciate everything you guys do for the sport. I just keep telling people, go out and promote the sport. We got so many people that just, need to hear it, and the kids need to see it, because I tell you what, this sport is tough enough the way it is. Need to give them some publicity and make sure they get known out there that they're putting in effort and other people see it. Yeah. Bill, last words?
Yeah. Hey, I'm just excited for another season, and I'm glad everybody's in the room. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, and we'll see you on the mat down the road here.
Okay. Coach Wells?
Hey, best of luck, you guys. This is an honor being part of this podcast with you guys. You guys got awesome accolades. Like I say, I'm just proud to be part of this, and hopefully I can follow in your guys' footsteps.
Okay. Well, awesome. Travis?
No, I appreciate being on here. I feel like I finally made it. I got to be on this podcast with you guys. So, and Coach Wells, best of luck to you down there with your squad. And echo everything you said, John, just about getting these kids as much, publicity as you can, get people into your gyms, watching these kids. The amount of work that they put in on a daily basis is unreal, and, just not comparable to anybody else. So, really, really put the word out there for your kids and show up for them.
Yep. I also want to give a thumbs up to you guys' social media stuff. You interview your wrestlers at times. It's always good to see. I catch your stuff. It's good. It's good. I like to see it when you interview your wrestlers or your other athletes. I know I'm trying to think of the guy that does it. Is it Peterson and does that? No, good job. And Bill, we'll catch you soon. No,
Yep.
I tell you what, wrestling's here. We're going to have a lot of fun next Tuesday. PSP Network. We're going to have Legacy at Bismarck High. The girls at 6:00, and then the boys. And it's at Bismarck High, actually. Legacy at Bismarck High. Got to think about that, right? And it should be a lot of fun. We get to see our first wrestling, and then this weekend, I'm not sure yet, but there's a chance I'll go to the Early Bird up in Minot and catch some wrestling there. Other than that, guys, if you need a book, if you guys, I saw some people put some questions. I'll put an email address at the bottom of the YouTube thing. If you guys want a book, I've got 4 of them for tonight for people that ask some questions. Okay, guys, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Go promote.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.